Chapter 8.8, Strawberry Magic by Sky. By 3 o'clock, everyone was back on top of the cliffs at the far end of the beach. The Noesis looked calm as it shimmered in the afternoon sun. Minnow rushed up to me with a little gift from Miguel. "He can't come this afternoon," she said, "but he asked me to give you these. They're white coconut ice, rolled in cocoa. Miguel said they're called spuds, and they're full of luck, just for you." "Thank you," I said. I think Miguel is kind underneath all his gruffness. "Me too," said Minnow. "Although don't tell anyone," I added, "but he's not my favourite." 6 swept in and landed next to us. "Yum," she said. "Can I have one?" "Of course," I said, handing her the bag. "Offer them around." "You can offer them to us first," said Minnow. We laughed and hugged as 6 flew off with the bag of spuds. Minnow had put her chestnut hair into 4 plaits, the same way that Jax wears hers. "Gorgeous," I said, holding Minnow's outer plaits up above her head. "These can be your antennae." Minnow laughed, making little R2-D2 droid noises. "Weep, beep, ching." "Where did you go?" she asked in a squeaky C-3PO robot voice. "To the Black Pond," I said, using the same voice. I quickly told Minnow as much as I could, but before I could finish, Blizzard said we had to go. He was standing on the edge of the cliff, his multicoloured coat blowing behind him in the afternoon breeze. "Ready?" he called. "Before we go, magic strawberries?" asked Solo. Blizzard ate some and handed the rest around. Jax suddenly appeared wearing a green hoodie, looking refreshed. She held her arm high in the air with her hand curled into a fist. "Let's get gems," she yelled. "Yes," I said, my heart beating fast. Blizzard threw both hands into the air and shouted, "Boards!" We all imagined as hard as we could, and before we could worry at all, every one of us had the best board under our feet. Without hesitating, I sped into the Noesis. As I slid over the waves of cloud, I felt so free. No more fishhook anger, I thought. Everyone followed my lead. Before long, we were near some hot air balloons, but this time I surfed straight past them. I knew exactly where we were going, straight back to the shimmering lake of Noesis we'd seen earlier that day. Chapter 8.88, The Noesis and the Golden Dragon by Sky. When we reached the shimmering lake, it was surrounded by clouds. As we moved closer, we could see a golden dragon floating on the lake's surface, sleeping. Small flames moved in and out of its nostrils. "Approach it," said Blizzard, "but do not wake it." "Whatever you do, don't tickle it," said Solo. I realised that Blizzard and Solo were talking to me. "Me?" "Definitely," said Solo. "It's so lucky to find a dragon in the Noesis." "Almost unheard of," said Jax, her eyes fixed on the sleeping dragon. I took a deep breath. "I'm brave," I said. "Very," whispered Ben. "I'll come with you if you like," said Minnow. "No," said Blizzard. "This is Sky's mission." With my eyes on the dragon, I tipped my board forward and glided slowly towards it. As I got closer, I could hear its thoughts. "Oh, I mustn't stay long," it was thinking. "They'll find me and take my treasure. I must be careful, but I love lying here pretending to be a crocodile." I wasn't sure if anyone else could hear the dragon. "I want to stay here," it continued, "and improve my shining tail and pour some water from, I forget, on every golden scale." The words were familiar to me, but I couldn't remember where I'd heard them. I wasn't sure what I was going to do when the dragon woke up. "Filth might come," thought the dragon. "Filthy humans or dirty angels must stay awake." I remembered that Orpheus could charm things, and I wondered if the dragon could be enchanted by music. A song popped into my mind, something my father used to sing to me. I started to whisper it very softly, like a lullaby. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea. The dragon sighed deeply, still asleep. I continued, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. The dragon shifted its back legs. I stopped singing and looked at the others who were waiting a little distance back. They looked anxious, but for some strange reason I felt calm. I continued to sing. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff, and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. The dragon opened one eye and stared at me. I could hear its inner voice again. Human! Must be invisible! I kept singing quietly. Oh, Puff, the magic dragon lived by the sea. Puff, I thought. Good name. The dragon carefully stood up, water streaming from its body. Even though it was only a bit taller than me, the dragon was still an imposing figure. Must remain invisible, it was thinking. Must. Oh, can she see me? I tried very hard not to feel afraid as I moved my board back a little. From somewhere inside my brain, the idea came to me to take on the shape of a dragon. As I did, I felt very strange. I was still smaller than the golden dragon, but I was the same colour, and I also had wings. The lake was quite shallow, and I stood beside Puff, quietly staring at him, my surfboard floating next to me. Ben later told me that he was both terrified and amazed. I spoke quietly to the dragon, feeling confident in my dragon form. Puff looked terrified when he realised that I could see him. He seemed to be paying attention, but suddenly turned towards Blizzard and blew a massive blast of fire. "What are you doing?" I asked. "They're my friends." Puff looked a little remorseful and said, "Sorry." Blizzard called out, "No harm done." Before I knew what was happening, 3 evil-looking dragons appeared, blasting fire in my direction. "Stand back!" roared Puff. "This is my friend." The dragons slunk off, muttering among themselves. I turned to Puff and said, "It's an honour to be your friend. Thank you." Puff rolled his eyes, too proud to seem as if he cared. "Do you think I could call you Puff?" I asked. "Well, Puff is my name," he said. "Are you serious?" I asked. "It's such a great name." Puff sighed. "Are you here for long? I'm getting bored." "I need your help," I said, shifting back into the shape of a girl. "Stop changing shape," said Puff. "It's annoying." "I am a girl," I said. "So shall I stay as that? Do whatever you want." "I need your help." "With what?" asked Puff. Some might have thought he sounded reluctant, but I knew it was an act. I could see in his curious green eyes that he was intrigued. I could also see that Puff would take pride in helping me if he could. "I'm not sure where to begin," I said. Puff groaned. "Is this going to take long?" "No need to be rude," I said. Puff rolled his eyes. "Look," I said, "part of me was taken by some Desgul." Puff spat into the lake. The large gobbet of spittle stayed on the lake's surface for a moment before igniting into flames and disappearing. "I hate Desgall," he said. "Me too. Anyway, after they stole part of me, they lost her." Puff stared at me, blinking. "You mean they lost you?" asked Puff. "Well, yes," I said. "Well, the part of me that's not here." "Tell me more," said Puff. "The part of me that's lost looks like a young child. I think she's on an island because I had a vision." Puff stared at me, waiting for more information. "Her name is Jemima," I continued. "She's 4 years old." Puff stared at me, his eyes squinting a little. "I've heard talk of her. I can probably help you, but you have to keep the others back. I'm a dragon, not their friend." Puff scowled at everyone and shot a small burst of fire at them, as if to say, "Stay back." "You have to stay where you are," I called. "Okay," replied Blizzard. "Be careful." "Be careful. Huh," said Puff, reclining back onto the water. I hovered above the lake on my surfboard. "What do you want?" asked Puff, acting like he'd only just noticed me. "You know what I want. I want you to help me find Jemima. Please tell me what you've heard about her." Puff moved onto his side with his back to me. I moved my surfboard around to the other side of Puff and said, "Please, could you help me?" Puff snorted and said nothing. "Come on," I said, "be kind." Puff frowned. "She's being held prisoner, but no one is harming her." Puff blew some flames from his mouth. I felt as though I might burst with relief, but tried to stay calm. "Thank you," I said. I need to know exactly where she is." Puff closed his eyes. "I can't hear you," he said. "Yes, you can," Puff snorted. "She's on an island called Honolulu," said Puff. "Honolulu?" I asked. "That's the name of the land in the song. It's not real, is it?" "It most certainly is," said Puff, looking around. "It's where I live, but it's invisible to humans, so you've probably never even heard of it. In fact, I doubt you know anything about dragons." Puff snorted fire into the air. "Careful! I don't want to be burned. For your information, I recently read a very old book about dragons." "Was it called Breeding Dragons for Pleasure and Profit?" asked Puff with a suspicious and angry look. "Of course not," I said. "I don't believe in breeding dragons for any reason. It was a book about dragons." Puff pouted. "You think you're an expert after reading one book?" "Not at all. I only meant that I know a little." "So little that you know almost nothing." "If I know so little, you'll have to help me." "I don't have to help you with anything," said Puff. "But I think you will." Puff blinked. "I might, but there isn't much point. No one can rescue your missing self. Honolulu is swarming with dragons, and they're not all as pathetic as me." I frowned. "You're not pathetic." Puff shut his eyes and said, "Go away."